this stuff, I don't know where to turn. I don't know if I'm being fed a bunch of lies on the internet or not. But we're gonna find out, because I don't want to perpetuate lies if that's what they are. Hey, welcome back, Citysteaders. So I was just out here kind of surveying my my plot. I got all the garlic in the ground, as you guys know. I'm just kind of walking through. It's a nice day out here. It's actually like 45. It's super nice inside the greenhouse, which we'll be going there later. But checking it out, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got like 12 different plots that I've planted all these garlics in. And I did a little bit different things with some of them. Some of them are in raised beds, some are in hugelkultur raised beds. Some of them are like these back here, are directly in the ground. And then on top of that, some of the covering that I used was I put wood chips on a few of the beds. I have used wood chips the previous 2 years that I've grown garlic, and I've had no problems with it. There's some more back here. So yeah, I went ahead and put wood chips on some of them. And then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know, if wild garlic grows and it grows naturally, it's just gonna have leaves kind of fall on it from a forest floor, and I think of like permaculture type way, easy gardening basically. So I wanted to just put some leaves on some of these beds and kind of leave them natural, how they would happen in nature. I just want to see what would happen in comparison to like when I actually amend it with the wood chips on top as a different, it's just a different method. Now the leaves are free, darn little critters. Let's see them over here, hopping through. Little squirrels mostly, probably trying to find either food or a place to hide food. I don't see any kind of sprouts yet, which is actually a good thing. We're working on the root system at this point in the year. We don't want to have sprouts before the snow falls. They'll just take too much energy out of growing that sprout and not putting it into the roots. So first year I grew garlic, I did have sprouts real early, and I thought that's how it was supposed to go, and then I learned like, oh, it's better actually if they don't. So last year we didn't, and weird enough, I actually was kind of nervous that I didn't have any sprouts before you know, the winter came, because I'm like, oh no, they're not gonna grow. But then in spring, everything sprouted and everything was really good. So yeah, so I put the leaves on there instead of the wood chips, kind of a test to see which is better. So there's a theory that wood chips will like actually rob some of that nitrogen from the soil, whereas the leaves, as far as I know, break down and put it in. And the leaves break down a lot quicker than the wood chips will. So it's just, I'm just kind of testing to see which is better. With the different styles I got, the raised beds, the in the ground, the hugelkultur, it's just going to be a variant test. Now I didn't plant all the same garlics in them, so it's not a very scientific test, right? There's going to be no way of really testing it. It's just going to be kind of a how I feel about it. Did this one do better than this over here? Do they look what they should look like? You know, so that's just something I'm gonna look at and test at. But what I really wanted to talk to you today was about the thermal mass. Yeah, the thermal mass. So I made that video the other day. Some of you have seen it, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with this thermal mass inside the greenhouse, where I'm gonna put it, how I'm gonna set it up. I feel like I need a much wider lens if I'm gonna film in the greenhouse. So back to the idea of heatsink. Somebody brought up something I thought was super interesting, and it was about how many videos there are about how to make heat sinks in a greenhouse and how to heat your greenhouse with them. And the point they made was that usually when a topic is full of a bunch of baloney, there's usually a ton of videos on the internet about it. And then I was thinking for a second, I'm like, what else do I know that's like that? Ah, yes, the clay pot heater. Do you guys remember the clay pot heater? It's all over the internet again, you know, because it's winter and everybody's cold, and people are like, oh, you put a bolt in there and you put a couple pots together and you get to heat it with tea lights. Tea lights, people. Your furnace puts out about 100,000 BTUs. A tea light puts out about 100. I will let you do the math on that for a second. And there are people who claim you can heat so much with just this. And I did some experiments. In fact, check it out. I mentioned it in the other video. And I found that this thing never got hot. I had it out here for 6-7 hours it was. And I came out here and I just touched it. No heat at all. It was slightly warmer than cold, but it was not hot. And even the bolt was just a little bit warmer than you would want to touch. It wasn't like untouchable. I could put my hand on it if I really wanted to. So when I got that big ol' eye hook, the flame was like right up on it, blasting that thing, and it never got hot. So really now, what that's got me thinking in my mind is that I did all this, I went and got these barrels, I'm thinking about how to set them up, I'm kind of stressing about it a little bit, and more than likely, it's all a giant freaking bogus hoax. Yeah, it's probably a hoax. Alright, so maybe it's not an entire like giant hoax on everyone. Maybe it is possible. Maybe it does do some things. But are the people who are having success with it in a far different zone than I am? Do they have longer days than I have here? I mean, we're talking about getting sun from like 7 to 4:30. Is that enough to heat this thing up throughout the day? Just putting water barrels in here, I really question now whether or not I'm thinking that that's actually going to be a viable option or not. So you can also tell I kind of moved them back on the side of the greenhouse with them. After some of your guys' comments, you guys made a lot of good points, very valid points about how I wouldn't be in the sun full. So, but if the sun's coming in through the side almost all day, the majority of the day, I mean the sun comes over top of this. I know it does. I've been out here in the middle of the day and the sun's pretty much directly above us. I can't really put this any other way to make the sun better. So, yeah, if I would have put them where I wanted originally, they wouldn't be in the sun most of the day, which would be detrimental to how well they work. So now I'm going to have to put them on this side over here. It kind of bums me out because it takes up a little bit more of where my space was. I kind of liked what it was before, but this will work. I'll make this work somehow. And then another good point people brought up was about putting something over top of them to use them as a tray, but how that might not be good because the sun wouldn't be hitting them. So there's another good thing to think about. If I do anything like that, am I going to be, you know, hindering myself again by doing that? So a lot of good points that you guys brought up. So I'm very happy about not having anything in concrete yet done. You guys really rocked with all the comments and gave me some good perspective. So yeah, so now I'm kind of worried that I'm being pulled into this clickbait that could be videos on the internet, because they also mentioned how if you see those videos they get a lot of views and stuff like that, and then people like me and people like you who might be starters or beginners, we're looking at those and we're going, hey, they're doing that, I could do that too, and that would be helpful to me. Now, is it really true though? That's what we need to know, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, but I gotta really monitor it and see if it's actually worthwhile now. And I'm gonna show you guys any kind of result I get. I'm gonna have to get I want to get a thermostat to put in here, so we can actually measure water temperatures. I got, like I said, I got my little heaters. I'll put those in here. We can measure all the different temperatures in different spots of the greenhouse. It's still good. You guys know I like to experiment and do things and test them out, like the clay pot heater that I debunked. I think that's a bunch of baloney. I would never believe that when people tell me it works. I think they're just blowing smoke. That's all I can say. So possibly this could just be a bunch of smoke that the internet is blowing up a bunch of people, you know. So I don't know. We're gonna test it out. We're gonna get thermostats. We're gonna test this water. We're gonna test the temperatures. I got my gauges. I can set them all throughout here and get different read-ins and stuff. So I'm gonna do a lot to try to show actual results, whether they work or not. When I think back to it on the internet, I looked and I'm like, I don't really see. I see a lot of people putting them in there, but I didn't see a lot of like, this is the results of what happened. This is, you know, how warm it is on this day. I never saw any of that, and now it's got me really like angry almost that I might have fallen into a trap, which the internet is nothing but a trap, right? People are trying to get you to do crazy stuff all the time on there and trying to give you things that may not be true. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person who's spreading false information. So stay tuned. We're going to be doing a lot of testing and trying to actually prove what these do, if they do anything at all. And it could be that they work good in semi-warm climates. Say you're in North Carolina where you got a shorter winter and your days are a little bit longer. It might work great there. But is it gonna work in a place that gets down to, you know, 0 degrees for multiple days in a row? That's gonna be the big test. So we got something to look forward to now, I guess, so we can actually really think about what we're doing here and if it's actually efficient and helpful, or if we're just doing a bunch of extra labor for very minimal gains. I hate that I'm like the guinea pig for it. I'm not sure. Now it drives me nuts thinking that I could be being full of just because there's a ton of videos out there about everybody doing it, and like I said, I couldn't find like where people said, you know, this is the reading before and this is the reading after, or this is, you know, what the water temperature was. Maybe it freezes when it hits, you know, 32 out here or 20 out here. Maybe it freezes then and we don't even know. So I'm gonna show you guys because I don't want to spread bad information. I just don't. I feel like that's awful, you know. I don't want to be the guy who's that's why sometimes I don't give you advice because I don't know for certain that it works or not. I always you know, hashtag Rose knows. If there's anything I need to know, I'll ask Rose, because she actually has like all the gardening education and knowledge that you need to know. So check out Rose at Wholesome Roots. She has all the answers for the most part. I mean, she's so smart when it comes to gardening. So gardening, that's where I turn. This stuff, I don't know where to turn. I don't know if I'm being fed a bunch of lies on the internet or not. But we're going to find out, because I don't want to perpetuate lies if that's what they are.